Jeff. We are going to talk about how important it is to select the right title company. Because you know what? The title company is either the icing on the transaction or they are the rotten egg in the group.
The shovel that buries it.
And the rotten egg, I was in my head trying to quickly come up with a G-rated version. That's what you got. Because I think that the title company is the last thing you taste.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they get it right,
Mm-hmm.
hallelujah. And when they screw it up, I almost want to stand up and say, I will never use you again.
It's funny. I've always felt, not always, many times have felt badly for the title company, especially, pre-electronics, where everything had to be delivered. Like the loan documents were physically printed at an attorney's office,
Yeah.
and they had to be physically delivered to the title company. And there were many transactions where, we were sitting in the title company lobby as a buyer, waiting on the documents to show up, and the documents show up, and then the closer's got to put everything back in the back.
Comes
together.
in, hairs everywhere,
Yeah.
sweating. But I think that when legislation was passed that said you must have closing docs out 48 hours in advance,
Yep.
I think that was probably the smartest thing, and that gives everyone a breath of fresh air. Because you're right, you are sitting in the lobby going, I hope we close.
Yeah. The seller's got all their stuff piled up on a truck out there, and
That's the worst.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely hate that.
So some of the pros of picking the right title company, one is you get a very thorough title search. That is incredibly important to a buyer, to make sure the title is done right. Even though most transactions you're getting a title policy, which is what ensures that you've got clear title and you're in the first position, there are title companies that miss that. And when you go to sell the property, your title company is the one that has to clear all that up, and it can delay your next transaction if it wasn't done right when you bought it.
Yeah. So for sellers, I think some of the most important things are for that mortgage payoff. If there is a mortgage, for that to be handled accurately and quickly. That wire transfer is one of the most important things. Also, organization at closing. There's nothing worse than documents not being handled properly, or an, dare I say, incompetent assistant who is running point on these. It is so important for that wire to be handled correctly. That has become one of our key things that we talk about. And I think that title companies have all joined in, and that is one of our biggest focuses in making sure that everything handles well.
And kind of going back to buyers, you really want title companies that are very consistent and very clear in their communication. You want them to be very transparent with what their fees are. We've had experiences where we are, using Joe Smith Title Company out of Podunk, and they have a escrow fee of $1,200, and that's double what everybody else's is. And
how about the one that wanted the when the option period expired, they wanted that hold harmless for further requirements.
Yeah.
Some of the verbiage that they concoct is also can be very problematic in the future.
Some of the cons of using the wrong title company for the buyer is missed title issues, which is kind of what I was just talking about. Poor communication, delayed closing, inflated fees that are not flexible with e-signatures or remote closings. Most of the title companies that we work with either have enough offices around the Metroplex that they can do a closing in another office if that's more convenient for one of the principles of the transaction. But we also have instances where, like title companies just have notary agreements with somebody in Tucson or somebody in Phoenix, or, that if they're there, the person comes to them.
Right. And some of the cons that I'm going to hit on for like sellers is inaccurate proceeds due to sloppy work. That is very frustrating. Available staff, overbooked or under, like not being able to close, that has become a huge problem, especially when things get busy for them not to be able to handle that work. I think also one of the cons for sellers is a lot of times the seller brings to the table maybe a little more of a, whether it's because of probate, heirs, whether it's a 1031 exchange, it can become a little more complicated. And if they're not well versed in how to handle that, it can seem clumsy at best sometimes.
One of the I think one of the one of the things that is really more of a con than it is a pro for a lot of places are the policies that the title company has, the whatever operating policies they have. Like, you know, we had a situation recently where so there, you know, in the contract there are three main places where a buyer could terminate. There's the option period, there's the number of days for financing if they have chosen, you know, to have a contingent on that, and in many cases there is an HOA contingency in it. And to me, those are all clean breaks because the contract is very clear about what happens in those situations. You know, we had a title company that's actually one of the bigger, well-known title companies here that we had a buyer that terminated based on what he read in the HOA docs.
Correct.
And the title company required everybody to sign a release. And to me, that is absolutely wrong because as a title company, you are taking away someone's rights in a contract. You are arbitrarily, by policy, taking away somebody's rights. And, you know, I took this all the way to the president of their company, and who was a jerk, by the way. And it was really bad. And we will never work with that title company again.
Ever.
There was a title company 15 years ago that threatened to sue one of our customers because they wouldn't sign a release. And I told them then, you're one of the bigger companies, and I've used you for 20 years, and I will never use you again. And we have not had a transaction close with them since then.
You got to tell me who that is after the show.
I will.
Interesting. Huh. So it is important.
It is very important.
It is the way things get done and are done the best. And we really try to pick absolutely top tier title companies that are always going to take care of our clients well.
Yeah, and you know, if you have any questions about different policies that we feel are good or bad, or you know, things that you might be facing, give us a call. We'd be happy to talk to you about that.
And just remember, we want to be realtors for life.
Did you know there are a lot of ways you can keep up with us? For starters, every Wednesday at noon, we host Sold with Updike Pugh, live from our Facebook and YouTube channels. Our show is dedicated to featuring some of the best homes in the Dallas market and about sharing timely information about market trends. But don't worry if you missed the show, because you can always listen to them on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Spotify.
Still want more? Follow us on Instagram, where you get a first-hand look at what it's like to be a realtor. And it's not always previewing homes for clients or getting them ready to go live in MLS. Lastly, visit our website and you'll be able to create a custom home search tailored specifically to your wants and needs that's timely and accurate. Whether it's square foot, location, or the neighborhood, we have you covered.
If you'd like to know how much your home is worth, we can help with that too. Just visit homeprice.fyi, enter a few pieces of information like your home address, and we'll email you a price. When you're ready to talk real estate, you can reach us online, by phone, or by text at 214-377-2223.
And remember, we want to be realtors for life.